House of the Dragon has been consistently knocking my socks off for the past 4 weeks in a row, and I really just want to keep talking about it. Today I thought I'd dedicate a video to analyzing a character and why she came out of nowhere to become my favorite by a mile. That character being the one and only Her Grace Alicent Hightower. I'm going to be talking about Alicent in the books up until the point we've seen in House of the Dragon, but this video will contain no spoilers for future episodes or for the show as a whole. And before we jump into this video as a whole, be sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy. I really love making videos about House of the Dragon, and I'd love to make more if people enjoy them. So yeah, I'd really appreciate any support. Let's jump into the main topic at hand. The reason I was so surprised by Alicent being my favorite is her book counterpart. In the book, Alicent really isn't much of a character. She exists and is relevant to the plot insofar as she's a pawn of her father, but she has little agency and even less characterization. This is partially just due to Fire and Blood being an in-universe history book, but there are other characters whose personalities and characteristics come through a lot more clearly, such as Daemon Targaryen or Rhaenyra Targaryen. Going into House of the Dragon, I sort of dreaded the changes they were going to make from the books. When they were adapting Game of Thrones from Song of Ice and Fire, a fair amount of details were changed or cut, and understandably so, they're massive books, but they were seemingly cut just for convenience, and those cut details led to major plot issues in the show's final seasons. The main two that come to mind for me are the removal of the Tyson Confession and the removal of Aegon, as book readers I'm sure are very familiar with. I'm quite happy to be wrong in that worry regarding Fire and Blood. Every change the writers have made to House of the Dragon so far has been nothing short of ingenious. Making Alicent and Rhaenyra closer in age as well as childhood friends adds so many layers of complex emotion and motivations to their relationship, and I absolutely love it, and has led me to liking both of their characters a lot more, and both of them being very high up in my ranking of characters so far from this series. Alicent had been one of my favorite characters ever since the first episode. However, episode 4 is what solidified her as my number one favorite thus far. Episode 4 had a few very interesting themes, one of which was people struggling against their current situations and having that struggle backfire. Rhaenyra wishes for freedom from her responsibilities as a princess and wants to experience a normal life for one night. Daemon struggles with an internal conflict between loyalty to his brother and his desire for love and for power. Otto continues to attempt to ensure Aegon's seat on the Iron Throne by informing Viserys regarding Daemon and Rhaenyra's activities. In all three of these cases, actions that these characters take blow up in their faces. Rhaenyra's virtue is questioned, which leads to her being forced to marry Laenor Velaryon. Daemon estranges himself from his brother, which results in his returning to his unhappy life in the Vale. And Otto successfully passes the information along, however it costs him his position as Hand of the King. Where does Alicent fit into all of this? Though it's less obvious, Alicent is another expression of this same theme. Episode 4 does a great job of showing just how discontent she is with her current state of affairs. Her conversation with Rhaenyra near the beginning of the episode belies a desire for excitement and romance, things that she clearly does not experience in her marriage to Viserys. Alicent connects to this theme so powerfully because she's its inversion. In Alicent, we see the dangers of not taking action when you're unhappy with your situation. Yes, the other three characters all suffer for their actions, but they still get something positive out of it. Daemon has a fun evening and begins to build a connection with his niece, which is quite gross, but he still probably thinks of it as positive. Rhaenyra gets to experience a different life and spends a romantic evening with Criston Cole, and Otto gets to further erode Rhaenyra's claim to the throne. All four of these characters end the episode unhappy, however, only one of them remained joyless throughout its runtime. These past 4 episodes have taken place over a number of years, and we've already seen a fair bit of change from many of our characters. Alicent is no different. Notably, there seems to be a shift between episodes 2 and 3 with her wedding to Viserys. Prior to that point, we see Alicent receiving orders from her father to get close to Viserys, and from Viserys himself to keep their friendship secret from Rhaenyra. In episodes 3 and 4, this changes. As of episode 3, Alicent seems to be working on behalf of her friend, Rhaenyra. In the 3rd episode, we see Otto assert that she must push Aegon's claim, while in the next scene, we see she pushes Daenerys to further Rhaenyra's claim. We see this again in episode 4, where she warns Rhaenyra about her father's accusations. Alicent seems to truly want the best for her friend, which makes it all the sadder when Rhaenyra lies to her, swearing on her mother's grave that nothing happened between her and Daemon. Motivations change over time, of course, and it'll be quite interesting to see how Alicent develops moving into the future of House of the Dragon. Episode 5 will be the last with young actors, so undoubtedly we're heading for some massive development very shortly. I have some rough predictions as to where this will go, but I don't want to share them for the sake of not spoiling it for those who have not read the books. I'm also excited to see how Alicent's motivations change going forward. As we know, she's recently become a mother. She had a son, Aegon, in episode 3, and another baby girl, Helena, as of episode 4. They're undoubtedly going to be big factors in the story, and I'm excited to see how they change Alicent's motivations going forward, and how they affect her relationships with both her father, with her husband, and with her good friend, Rhaenyra. I saw a really good post on Twitter earlier today comparing Alicent's current predicament to that of Arianne in the end of A Feast for Crows, particularly one quote stating that hers is a gentle prison, which I think is very fitting in that she is a very similar character to someone like Arianne or someone like Sansa, who is very much bound by these typical customs, what is expected of women, and because of this ends up suffering a great deal, not really having her voice be heard to a degree by many of the men in society at this point. And I think it's interesting to examine the parallels between these characters and see perhaps what might have changed over the intervening, 170 years between the events of House of the Dragon and the events of the main series, either book or show. I should also take a minute to say that Emily Carey, the actress playing young Alicent, has done an absolutely fantastic job for all 4 episodes so far. She's shown a ton of talent in this performance and undoubtedly has a bright future as an actress. I'm also quite excited to see Olivia Cooke as Alicent based on what we've seen from the season trailer. She very much maintains the quality of acting from her predecessor, but I am still very excited to see that as well. And I do hope to see Alicent in the future as young Alicent in season 2, as I just saw talked about on Twitter the other day. Alicent is only one example of many. In my eyes, the greatest strength of House of the Dragon thus far has been taking characters and plot points from the book, written in dry, historical prose, and giving them new life. Every revision they've made to the source material has been very much for the best, and added dimension to so many characters that once had so little. I hope it continues as a trend for the season, and for the series as it continues, but at this point, House of the Dragon has my full faith behind it. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I really love making content about House of the Dragon, and I'd love to do more of it. Feel free to leave a comment as well. I'd love to hear who your favorite character is, and what some of your favorite changes from the book have been so far. So if you've enjoyed this, please do all those things. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye.